The story begins with a prediction, so bold it shook both the crypto world and the traditional banking sector, Brad Garlinghouse stating that the XRP ledger could capture 14% of Swift's global transaction volume. To the untrained eye, this might sound like just another optimistic CEO moment, another ambitious statement in a technically complex and rapidly evolving industry. But when you dig deeper, when you look at the global financial machinery, the trillion-dollar pipelines moving value across continents every second, you begin to understand that this isn't just a prediction. It's a declaration of a market share war, and standing on one side of that war is a 50-year-old messaging consortium built in the 1970s, operating with the same outdated infrastructure as fought to modernize for decades. On the other side is a real-time, trustless settlement engine with the ability to move money instantly, efficiently, and without friction. This is not simply a technological comparison, it is Swift's last stand. So what does 14% represent? At first glance, it might seem like just another number in a sea of financial statistics, but in the world of global finance, 14% is a seismic shift, a signal that something fundamental is changing beneath the surface. This figure represents billions of dollars in global daily volume, money moving across borders, continents, and time zones every single day. It's not just a statistic, it's a reflection of the immense scale and speed at which our financial systems operate. For half a century, these corridors of value have been dominated by Swift, the backbone of international banking communication. But now, for the first time, cracks are appearing in this long-standing monopoly. 14% marks the first measurable chunk of Swift's dominance being carved out by blockchain, a technology designed for the digital age, offering transparency, speed, and security that legacy systems can't match. In global finance, market share rarely shifts smoothly or quietly. These changes are often turbulent, marked by volatility and uncertainty as new players challenge the old guard. When superior infrastructure emerges faster, more reliable, and more efficient, the shift happens in bursts, almost like a dam breaking under pressure. Suddenly, what was once unthinkable becomes inevitable. Think of how email rapidly replaced fax machines, rendering them obsolete almost overnight, or how streaming services swept away physical media, changing the way we consume entertainment forever. Now, blockchain-based settlement is poised to do the same to Swift's aging messaging empire, offering a new paradigm for moving money globally. And when the first 14% falls, when that initial domino tips over, the rest of the market tends to follow, often much faster than anyone expects, setting off a chain reaction that can reshape the entire financial landscape. You know, banks don't abandon legacy systems out of excitement, they do it out of necessity. They do it because faster settlement reduces risk, because real-time movement improves liquidity management, because cross-border trade becomes simpler, because customers demand efficacious, because global competition forces evolution. In Ripple's case, the technical advantage is not marginal, it is exponential. RippleNet's on-demand liquidity eliminates the need for nostro-vostro accounts tying up trillions in dormant capital. Swift, even on its best day, just cannot compete with that. This is not a fair fight. But honestly, the brilliance of this moment is not just the technology, it's the timing. We're witnessing a rare convergence, where innovation meets necessity, and the world is more ready than ever for change. The financial sector, long resistant to disruption, is now at a crossroads, forced to confront its own limitations. Swift's fragility is no longer a rumor, it is visible. Banks complain of bottlenecks, delays, and rising costs. Regulators, under pressure from both the public and private sectors, seek transparency and accountability in a system that's showing its age. Corporations, especially those operating globally, demand cheaper, faster, and more reliable payment rails. They're tired of inefficiencies that slow down business and eat into profits. Governments too are exploring blockchain for central bank digital currencies, hoping to modernize their economies and gain a competitive edge in the digital era. Swifty's 50-year-old infrastructure, patched and repatched over decades, is now being evaluated against the promise of real-time blockchain settlement, technology that can move money across borders in seconds, not days. The contrast is glaring, unforgiving, and irreversible. The old ways are being exposed, and the appetite for something better is undeniable. Meanwhile, Ripple continues to expand globally, aligning with markets moving faster than the West. Asia's digital economies, Africa's fintech explosion, and regions where leapfrogging legacy systems is not just possible but necessary. The Middle East blockchain-first financial reforms are setting new standards, showing what's possible when innovation is embraced at the highest levels. These regions are not waiting for Swift to modernize. They're moving forward, driven by necessity and ambition, unwilling to be held back by outdated systems. They are adopting superior technology now, seizing the moment and shaping the future of finance before our eyes. Once Ripple captures 14% of Swift's volume, the psychological shift begins. Banks that hesitated suddenly reconsider. Regulators begin drafting frameworks for blockchain-based settlement. Payment providers pivot. Fintechs integrate XRP on native rails. Corporations that once relied on Swift for international payouts start exploring faster options. And once the financial world sees that the first wave of migration didn't break the system, but improved it, another wave follows. Then another. Eventually, the tide becomes a flood. Swift's last stand is unfolding in plain sight. It is not a dramatic collapse. It is a slow erosion followed by a rapid inversion. The moment when institutions realize the old infrastructure can no longer support modern finance. Ripple is not trying to be a better Swift. It is replacing the need for Swift altogether. The messaging era is ending. The settlement era is beginning. And the XRP ledger sits at the center of that era. Fast, efficient, decentralized, programmable, optimized for global liquidity, and capable of absorbing the volume Swift once monopolized. The 14% is merely phase one. It's the first signal that the tides are turning, a clear marker that the financial world is ready for change. This isn't just a number, it's a threshold, a point of no return that tells us the old ways are being left behind. When a new technology captures this much of the market, it's not just a trend, it's a movement. It is the wedge that opens the market, forcing open doors that have long been shut by tradition and inertia. This wedge is not just about access, it's about transformation, about making room for innovation where there was once only resistance. It is the metric that signals that the shift is no longer theoretical. The numbers are real, the momentum is visible, and the impact is undeniable. What was once a distant possibility is now a present reality, reshaping the landscape of global finance. And once 14% moves, 30% becomes plausible, 50% becomes realistic. Full migration becomes inevitable. Each milestone reached accelerates the next, creating a domino effect that sweeps through the industry. The pace of adoption quickens, and what seemed impossible just a few years ago now feels like destiny. Because in a world where efficiency is everything, and money must move at the speed of data, the financial system will always choose the rails that work, not the rails that used to work. The demand for instant seamless transactions is relentless, and only the most advanced systems can keep up. The infrastructure of yesterday simply can't compete with the speed and transparency of today's solutions. And so the story continues, not as a competition between equals, but as the final chapter of a legacy system facing a technologically superior successor. The old guard, built for a different era, finds itself outpaced and outmatched by innovation that redefines what's possible. This is not just evolution, it's a revolution in how value moves across the globe. Swift's last stand is not a battle it can win. The writing is on the wall, and the world is watching as the old system fades into history. Its legacy will be remembered, but its dominance is ending. It is a transition it cannot stop. The momentum is too great, the benefits too clear, and the appetite for progress too strong. The future is arriving faster than anyone expected, and there is no turning back. And as the financial world wakes up to the undeniable advantages of real-time settlement, the question is no longer whether XRP will take 14%, but how long it will take to claim the rest. The race is on, and the outcome is all but certain. The future of finance is being written right now, and it belongs to those who are ready to embrace it. Please remember, I am not a licensed financial advisor. The content presented in these videos is purely for entertainment purposes. I always encourage viewers to conduct their own research and consult with professionals before making any financial decisions. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also, make sure you turn on the notifications to be the first to know when I release new content. I'm excited to catch up with you in the upcoming video. Take care.